In progress.
I'm good, Kiah. How are you?
I'm very good, very good. Thank you for talking about my giant spider movie.
No worries at all. Now, I gotta say, I really enjoyed this one. I've had a chance to watch it, and I really enjoyed it being a horror fan from a long way back. So, first of all, congratulations.
Thank you very much. Yeah, this one's been a long time coming. I'm a massive arachnophobe, and so I've been scared of spiders for a long time. And I've just been thinking about the idea of a giant spider eating people for a long time. And finally, I've got a chance to put my nightmare into your eyeballs.
So, I've got to ask, you mentioned there that this is something that you've been wanting to do for a long time, and you've got a fear of
Yeah.
spiders yourself. So, tell us about the early days of this film. Like, when did you first start thinking about this? And because it's a fear of your own, did that actually enhance the experience when you started working on it?
Well, yeah, I've had a massive fear of spider. I got bitten by like a weird giant black spider when I was like 2 years old in a sandpit. Like it was either a huntsman or something, but it didn't give me special powers like it did Spider-Man. It just made me scared of spiders.
Yeah.
And so like, yeah, just my whole life I've just had a fear of them. And because I'm an artist and a filmmaker, like your job is to take those images and like weave them into stories. And so just the idea of like anytime I look at a spider, I just think, imagine that was big. Imagine that was like the size of a tiger and it could bite you and drag you into an air conditioning duct. And like, I know that they paralyze you and I know that they eat you when you're alive. And it's like, imagine that thing was giant. And it starts with a sketch like that and an image. And then finally, years later, I was trying to write like the classic single location horror. And I was like, what's the monster going to be? Because that's always the question. And so this image that I've been flirting with in my head all my life just kind of popped in there. And I was like, okay, that's it. Like, that's my single location horror. So I just wrote the worst thing that I could think of, which is literally a giant spider descending onto a crib. And because at the time I just had a baby, it was in the middle of COVID, me and my family were stuck indoors like together and like tensions were high. I was just like, I put that into a script and out came Sting.
Do you think because of all the lockdowns and everything that we had during COVID now, people are more aware of what it feels like to be trapped? And because I know a lot of people, especially here in Melbourne, where there were times when we're only allowed out for 1 hour a day and things like that, that said that they suddenly understood what claustrophobia and being trapped meant. Do you think that is also something that people will understand more now when they sit down and watch this movie, what it feels like to be trapped in that one location?
Yes, I do. And there's a lot more single location horror movies coming out. And I think a lot of that is a reaction to COVID. But somebody was asking me the other day, like, why, there's a horror boom going on at the moment. And I think it goes beyond that. I think people feel trapped in the world at the moment, trapped in the economy. Like, I think young people today are genuinely wondering whether or not they have a future on Earth in their lifetime.
Yeah.
And that's kind of a horrific idea. And I think that concept has worked its way into like a lot of popular culture, and I think that's why we're having like a bit of a horror resurgence, with Late Night with the Devil and Talk to Me and all that kind of stuff, like is doing so well. And Sting opened recently sort of in the top 10 at the US box office, and it's not a tiny film, but like it's effectively an independent Australian production, and for it to make its way like into the kind of American consciousness like that, I think it just it plays into the idea that people are into horror at the moment in a big way, and I think single location horror is it's really booming at the moment.
I was going to ask that because, like you said, this is an independent Australian film. How difficult was it for you to pitch the film, first of all, to overseas markets and to get it into cinemas? Because it's an amazing feat for an Aussie film to get into the top 10 in America. So was that a difficult process for you?
The difficult part was to find producers with the courage to do it, because everybody knew it had to be at a certain budget level, and like it was probably going to be more than the $3, $4, $5 million mark that everybody wants to make. Like I had a bigger ambition for this. I mean, this is effectively like Alien in a New York apartment building with a spider, and that's an expensive proposition. So when Jamie Hilton and Michael Ponton came on board and they just went, let's just try it. We really believe in this story. And Chris Brown came on, and he had a conduit to Weta. Richard Taylor agreed to make the spider. And when we bought that package to Studio Canal, like they just said yes pretty much immediately. They're just like, this is sick, this is awesome. Like we believe in this too. Let's do it. The market responded. Everybody agreed it was a good idea. And you know, when you've got like a kind of when you've got a package that just works, the marketplace generally reacts pretty well to it. And it wasn't too hard to put it together once the momentum began. Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody has a fear. I have a fear of deep water, but there's a lot of people out there that have a fear of spiders. In fact, we were in the cinema the other night watching a film, and your trailer came on for Sting, and the lady that was sitting on our row suddenly yelled out, "Oh my God," and she balled up like into a ball on the seat just from the trailer. Is that something that you think about as well when your movie is out there, that there's going to be, of course, fans of horror that are going to want to see the film, but there might be other people out there that this is their worst nightmare?
Oh, you have no idea how happy that makes me, David. That's exactly the reaction I'm hoping for. Because I think if I hadn't made this film, that's the reaction I'd have if I saw this trailer.
Yeah.
But that's what you're looking for. Like, my job is to take those primal fears that people don't want to look at and make them look at it. And you find actually they do want to look at it, because you want to work through your primal fears. You want to work through those things that are the most scary thing for you without having to experience it. And there's always, I can't remember what the movie was, but there was some horror movie, it might have been The Exorcist, it might have been one of the other ones. But somebody said they were at a screening, and no, it was Jaws. That's right, it was Jaws. And somebody got up and ran out of the theater.
Yep.
And, you know, Spielberg and the producers went, "Oh no, like, we've got a loss here." The guy threw up into a trash can and then came back and sat down. Yep. And they nudged each other and went, "We've got a hit," you know, because that guy was so disgusted that he had that reaction, but he had to see what happened in the end. Yep. And that's what you want to do with a film like this, you know.
Definitely. And of course, like, it being one of your fears, what were you like on set, and what were your cast like on set as well? Like I said before, it's very rare that a director or a writer will broach a subject that terrifies them. So how were you on set, and how were your cast on set?
Well, it depends. Like, Lila, who plays Charlotte, who's like one of the most talented like human beings on the planet, she loved it. She loves spiders and like loves like weird icky things, so she was laughing the whole time. Robin Nevin wouldn't even look at the puppet, and anytime I shoved the puppet in front of her, like, she just looked at me and just was furious. She's like, "Why are you doing this to me? I hate this so much." She still hasn't seen the film. She won't see the film. Like, she made her husband go to the premiere, but she won't go. You know, some people can deal with it, some people don't. Some people hate snakes, some people don't, you know, like, but yeah, it's a truly terrifying thing that Richard Taylor and his Weta Workshop team built, in that, like, the first time the puppet was operating, I didn't know it was in the studio, and I came in, and the puppets, like, it was pretty dark, and the puppeteers had planned it so that it would run at me and hiss and open its mandibles at the same time. And I actually screamed like somebody's grandmother. Like, I had a visceral reaction to my own. I watched them build it. Like, I knew it was there. But when it came running at me, it was so real that I nearly fainted, to be honest. So, yeah, it was a fun set. You know?
Yeah. So I'll touch a little bit more on the cast later, but I wanted to talk to you a little bit more about the puppet, because I've had the pleasure of sitting down and having a Weta Workshop worker explain to me how they go through the process of building creatures like this. And I know they use a lot of documentary footage and real photography and things like that. Can you talk us through the process that you went through with them to build Sting?
Yeah, I mean, you'd have to talk to them about it. They're wizards. Like, I don't know how wizardry is done, but I know that they used really high-resolution photogrammetry of actual redback spiders. I think they used the Catapo, actually, which is basically the New Zealand version of the redback, but I wanted the redback design on the shell, or whatever it's called, the carapace, I think. But yeah, so they had really detailed, like, 3D scans of actual spiders. And then, do you know what they did? It's insane. This is the first animatronic puppet that was almost 97% 3D printed. So each section of the spider was 3D printed in this kind of like semi-hard, soft plastic stuff. and then they just put it together. And so because of that, like every tiny little bump and hair and stuff is like literal from the photogrammetry of the real spiders. So it is, for all practical intents and purposes, a real spider with an engine, you know?
Yep.
It's crazy what they do.
Were you always going to go with puppets, or did you ever think about CGI? Like, I know CGI in movie...
Oh, God, no. Yeah. I mean, like, it was always the rule. Like,
yeah.
like, to me, horror is a tactile medium.
Yep.
So I want a puppet that can interact with the performers and the shadows and the smoke and, like interacting with, like, props and stuff like that. I want people to really believe that it's there, because even with the best CGI, you get, like, an uncanny valley effect where, like, the weight of the thing, like, isn't correct.
Yep.
So anytime it's a medium shot and it's interacting with something, it's the puppet, which is like most of the shots. But then anytime you've got a wide shot of it running around on the ceiling or whatnot, then it goes digital. And the legends over at Cumulus, like, they're a great company. I think they're set up in Byron. Just wonderful people, like brilliant animators. They did all the digital, but actually there's not that many digital shots of the big spider. They had to handle it when it was little.
Yep.
And so anytime you see it when it's like small, that's all Cumulus digital.
Yep.
But I kind of didn't want to see it too much, and that's why most of the film we hide it either sort of in, you know, high contrast shadows or behind thick glass, because I just didn't want people looking at it thinking that's digital. But then when I saw the digital spider, I was just like, oh wow, that's pretty photorealistic, guys. Well done. So I was actually able to show it more than I had planned in the original sort of script.
Now, your cast, you mentioned before, you had an absolutely amazing cast on this film, and their performances in this are just absolutely brilliant. Tell us a little bit about your casting process. Did you have people in mind before you started the process, or did you just go in completely cold?
I'd always wanted to work with Ryan, so
yeah.
I kind of had him in the back of my mind, and I was really glad when we got him. Everybody else was just like a surprise. Like, I mean, I was so overjoyed when, like, Noni Hazelhurst and Robin Nevin, like, signed on. Like, they are arguably some of the best actors in the country, and I'd watched Robin on the stage, like, for many, many years, like, in many productions, and, like, her theatre work is just phenomenal, and so it was really exciting to work with her, and I'd been a fan of Noni's for many years, and that was amazing too. Sylvia Koloka, I mean, she's so talented and beautiful. We were very lucky to get her. Everybody was great. Alila Brown was a surprise. We thought we were going to have to spend like 6 months trying to find the right girl, and actually we ended up spending 6 seconds because we went to Nikki Barrett and we went, so with this script, and she just went, look, cast Alila Brown. Don't think about it. Don't do any auditions. Just hope she's available. And we're like, who's Alila Brown? And we looked at like 20 minutes of footage, of like 20 seconds of footage, and I'm like, who is that? Cast her. Is she available? And luckily she was, you know. So, yeah, she's just phenomenal, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, heartbreaking performance.
Yeah. As a director, is it difficult to work with a child on a film like this, like a child actor or a child actress, when it's such a full-on film when it comes to things like fear? Is that difficult for you?
Yes and no. Like, I've worked with a lot of kids, and I guess I've just been lucky in that they've all just been weirdly wise beyond their years and just very good at what they do. Yeah, sometimes I'd be freaking out going, I shouldn't even be getting a 12-year-old to be doing some of this stuff. And I'd sort of, you know, be freaking out internally, and then she'd just be laughing her head off and having the best time. Like, you know, and I'd always go up to her and just, like, you know, put my hand on her and just go, oh, I'm so sorry, are you okay? And she'd turn to me and go, dude, I'm like... like, I'm play acting. Like, what are you worried about? So I think sometimes the adults would be more worried than her. Like, she's just having a great time, you know?
Yeah.
But, I mean, yeah, it's full on, though, because she's such a good actor and she hasn't learned to modify her, like, emotions yet. Like, she'd do a crying scene and she'd be weeping, like real tears. And then she kind of couldn't stop crying. And like her mum had come in and we'd come in, and then like, you know, she'd sort of come down. And then 20 seconds later, she'd just be laughing again, you know, but she had to go to that place. She's going to a real place. And that would worry me sometimes. But at the end of the day, you know, like I'd talk to her about it, talk to her mother about it. And like at the end of like she wants this. This is the thing that she wants to do. Yeah. So it's like somebody who's a gymnast, you know, when they're 12 years old, it's like, they're pushing themselves pretty hard and they're pushing their emotions and their bodies pretty hard, but it's like who am I to step in and say, you can't star in this film and do this amazing performance? You know, like, I mean, she just rocks in this film, and it's one of it's one of her favorite things she's ever done in her life. I mean, you know, after Furiosa.
Yeah. Well, Kiah, I know we are running out of time very, very quickly, and you've got other interviews to get to. So to finish off, what would you like to say to people out there who are about to head out and check out Sting in cinemas on July the 11th?
Please watch it on the big screen. Like, I know it's hard to leave the house. You've got the heater on, you've got the couch and the big screen TV and all of that. But, like, until you've seen a giant spider eating somebody on, like, a 20-foot screen, like, you haven't lived. Like, this is a film that, like, I make films to be watched big. And I don't mean TV big. I mean, you know, like, go to a theater and watch it. Not just because it's the way you should experience it, but because like, if you want more Australian films like this, you have to go out and support it, you know? So, do it for the experience, do it for Australian film, do it to watch, it's a giant spider movie. You have to watch it on a giant screen.